Welcome. The subject is Product Lifecycle Management for 7th semester Mechanical Engineering. In that Module 5, that is related to product building and structures. In this session number 4, in this already discussed these topics. Now we'll directly go to material master data, production description data, data models, life cycles of individual items, and finally the status of items we'll discuss in this session. We'll go with the material master data. Material master data, often referred as material master, or it's also called item master, contains description of all materials that a company procures, produces, stores, or sells. It is the central repository of information on materials and contains information of a variety of data elements, including part number, description, technical specifications, and stock codes. Material master is considered as the core functionality for any ERP, is nothing but enterprise resource planning system used in the distribution or manufacturing type functions. Here in MR material master data, the integration of all material data in a single materials database eliminates the problem of data redundancy and permits the data to be used not only by various departments but also other applications such as inventory management, materials planning and control, invoice verification, and so on. The description of individual materials used in a company is stored in material master records, and then these are the following list shows some types of information. Information a material master record contains and provides examples of each. And then in materials master data, first one is accounting. Here valuation and costing price calculation information. Example will take standard price, past and future price, and current valuation. And the next one is materials planning and control. Here information for material requirements planning and consumption based planning. Example will take safety stock level, planned delivery time, and record level for material. And the next one is purchasing. Here data provided by purchasing for a material. Example purchasing group or group of buyers responsible for a material, and then over delivery and under delivery tolerances and the other unit. And the next information is about engineering. Here engineering and design data on a material For example, we will take CAD drawings, basic dimensions and design specifications. And then storage, here information relating to storage. For example, I will take unit of issue, storage conditions and packaging dimensions, etc. Next, forecasting, here information for predicting material requirements. For example, how the materials is procured, forecasting period and uh, past consumption or usage, etc. And this last one, here some types of information on material master records are sales and distribution. In this information for sales, sales order and pricing. Example, sales price, minimum order quantity and the name of the sales department responsible for the certain material. And then next we'll go for characteristics of this material master or material master data. Here material master data is identified by the following characteristics. You have to identify in the following characteristics. It is identified in three ways. First one is material types, and then material groups, and then final one is defining and assigning number range. We'll discuss one by one. First we will take material master record is identified by the characteristics. The first type is material types. Here materials with common attributes are grouped together and assigned to a material type. It differentiates the materials and allows organization to manage different materials in a systematic manner in accordance to a company requirement. For example, we will take raw material and finished products are some of the material types. And the next characteristic is related to material groups. Here material group is a wider range of material type, and then materials with some common attributes are taken together and they are assigned to a material group. For example, we will take materials that are needed for packaging are included under packaged material group. And then last characteristics of material master is about defining and assigning number range. In this in the material master record, every material is recognized by a unique number, and then that is known as the material number. A number can be assigned to a material through two ways: external number assignment containing alphabets or digits which are unique and assigned manually by the user creating the master record, and then a internal number assignment wherein the system automatically generates a unique number to the material. The number range often being defined or assigned to the material group. Number assignment is defined within the framework of customizing. That is about defining and assigning number range. Next we'll go for accessing master material. Here company policy may restrict access to material master data. Access restrictions are intended to prevent unauthorized users from changing a material master record. Generally, buyers can view all data for a material but are usually only allowed to change purchasing data. In the same manner, material planners or inventory controllers are generally allowed only to change the data directly related to materials planning and control. Only certain users have authorization to enter and change all data centrally, not for the all users. Only certain users have the authorization to enter the change all the data central. Next we'll go for product data description. Here product data description is a marketing copy. It may be hard or soft copy generated by the company to provide the customers with sufficient data that contains the information regarding the features and characteristics of the product in order to compel them to purchase the product with confidence. The description can contain all brief write-up, photos, it may be images or videos or animations in case of online web description, etc. By educating customers on the product's key benefits, unique value proposition, and offering a solution to a frustrating problem, and then product description can help get more sales and then lower refund rates and build customer trust. Product data description writing can be taken from a well experienced data analyst or an expert involved in editorial works. While a good product description attracts customers and increases revenues, a poorly written product description may turn away a potential customers from a sale. A few guidelines, steps, or strategies involved in writing a product description are briefly as follows. Here in this there are product define target audience or groups. Another one is optimize product description, and then focus on products attributes and benefits. Use simple and effective language for communication. Be fair and transparent. These are the main guidelines or steps or strategies involved in writing a product description. These are the main concepts you have to follow. We'll discuss one by one. First we'll take define target audience or groups. In this who are buyers. In this define target audience and groups, not every target group can be triggered with the same style and the same content. Some of the key questions that need to be addressed in this regard include who are buyers of the product and their needs, and then what explanation does the product require in order to improve their life or usage value, what exactly is the target audience, how to arouse their emotions, and then what additional information can be provided to the target group, and then such evaluations make it better to describe the content in detail so as to ensure the product seem valuable to them. And then next is optimize product description. Here customers hate reading stories about the product, and then optimizing the description with creatively and specific keywords helps to convey the most important information in a short and sweet manner. Customers can quickly grasp the necessary information and make an instant decision whether the product is likely to benefit them or not. And an additional description may be provided only if the product demands for. And then next one is focus on products, attributes and benefits. In this, at the very minimum, the product description needs to inform the reader the basic functions, characteristics and the benefits the product will bring to the buyer. The description must ensure that the product has competitive and unique features that can improve the usage value of the product. Must also tell how the product can improve the buyer's life. And then next one is use simple and effective language for communication. That also is very important criteria. Here product describes must be simple and easy to understand. It must also include certain words and phrases that naturally evoke an emotional response in humans that can encourage them to purchase the product. The description can also be supplemented with photos, feedbacks, slogans, celebrity models, and the like that can persuade them to purchase the product. If the product descriptions are online, it may be internet, the right keywords in the description can help web searchers find the product easily. And then videos or animations provide best and effective mode of communication nowadays. And then last one is be fair and transparent. The description must be fair and transparency. And then for example we'll take describing the product to be of highest quality with complaints coming from all corners is deceptive. Projecting the product to be revolutionary and innovative when it is actually not can make the description being false. People like to buy products from people they trust. Building trust is different from attracting more customers and selling more products. Further, prices and delivery details should be available in a prominent place and be transparent and understandable. And then finally, the delivery details are as much about the cost as well as the availability and estimated delivery time. Next, we'll go for data models. Here, all the data related to a product, right from its conceptualization stage to its end life, and recycling must be managed effectively and efficiently to support product development process. The data model or database model serves the purpose in this regard. The main objective of a data model is mostly to support product data management, that is PDM functions of product lifecycle management by providing a structure for product data creation, identification, storage and exchange during the whole product lifecycle. When a data model is created, there is a need to define the data, its attributes and relationships with other data, and also define constraints or limitations on the data. Several product data models have been proposed for product design, and then some of the commonly used data models are explained hereafter. And then in this these are the commonly used data models, that is network database model, hierarchical database model, and then relational database model, object oriented model, and then object relational model. We will discuss one by one. First we will take network database model. Here this figure shows this second sketch shows the network data model. Here network database model as shown in this second sketch uses a network structure to create relationship between entities. The data is organized in many to many relationships between linked records, and then this is unique hierarchical databases where one node can have one parent only. A network node can have relationship with multiple entries, and then in this uh, data network database model, the main characteristics of this one is network database model overcomes the drawbacks of hierarchical model by establishing more relationships through multiple paths. However, the network model is complicated and then requires large digital computers. It is one of the popular model in 1970s. Next model will take next we'll take hierarchical database model. Here this sketch 1 shows the hierarchical data model. Here in a hierarchical database model as shown in sketch, the data is organized in a tree-like structure where each record has a single parent or a root. That is, the data is stored in a parent-children relationship node such that each children in the tree may only one parent, and relationships or linkages between children are not permitted, even if they make sense from the logical standpoint. This is a simple model of hierarchical data model, and then in hierarchical database model, the main characteristics are here data model is the oldest form of database, and then it is simple in structure, and then data access and updating can be made rapidly because the relationships are established in advance. However, the model uses one-to-many relationships, making it inflexible because the link is permanently established and cannot be modified. The retrieve a data, one has to traverse through each tree until the record found. Further, adding a new field or record requires the entire database to be redefined. That is the main drawback of this hierarchical database model. And then next data model is relational database model. Here in a relational database model, the data is stored in tabular form of columns and rows. Each column in the table represents a attribute and each row represents a record. Each field in the table represents a data value. The relationship between the data is relational in nature. The model accounts for one-to-one and then one-to-many and many-to-many relationships. Relational databases are the most popular and then widely used data management technology in PLM. Some of the popular database management systems are Oracle, SQL, Server, MySQL, and then SQLite, and IBM DB2, etc. In this relational database models, the main characteristics are the model provides flexibility that allows changes to the database structure to the easily accommodate. It facilitates multiple views of the same database for different users. Relational databases can be used with little or no training. These are the main characteristics of relational database model. Next we'll go for object oriented model. Here object oriented database model was developed owing to the drawback of this relational database model not supporting easily the distribution of one database across a number of servers. In this model, the user can define their own data accessing methods, the representation of data, and the method of manipulating it. In this, the main characteristics are use small recyclable separated of software called objects. The objects themselves are stored in the object oriented database. Each object contains of two elements, that is pieces of data. For example, we will take sound, video, text, or it may be graphics. And then second one is instructions, or it may be software programs called methods for manipulating with the data. And then object oriented data models are designed to work with OOP language such as Delphi, Ruby, C++, Java, and Python, etc. The benefit to object oriented database are compelling: the ability to mix and match reusable objects provides incredible multimedia capability. And then last one is object relational model. Here as the name indicates, this model is a hybrid database model, and then combining the simplicity of the relational model with some of the advanced functionality of the object oriented database model. It allows designers to incorporate objects into a familiar table structure. And then we'll go for status of items. Here status of items is a functional tab to instruct the system to determine the status of an item in a document form. Item status determines which item transaction can be performed in supply chain management applications. By changing an item status, one can control, that is, for example, whether items are included on sales orders, material stock requests, purchase orders, etc. The user can also control whether an item can be selected and shipped or used in production, or it may be exhausted. The item status determines which item transactions are permitted in the inventory, manufacturing, production plans, and enterprise planning. The status of an item is usually identified by any of the following category. We will discuss one by one. First one is free delivery status. The status indicated for items that have not yet delivered. In this again divided into different category. In this free delivery status: draft, inactive, ready, pending approval, disapproved, and then expected to under deliver. In this in draft is nothing but item is part of an order that has not been approved, and then inactive here item is not yet being delivered, and then items remain inactive as long as they still need creatives and have not been manually activated. If the network has been set to prevent automatic item activation, all line items will remain inactive until they have been manually activated. Next one is ready. Here items marked as ready have been activated but have not started delivering. It can take up to an hour after activation for the status to change from ready to delivery. Next one is pending approval. Here items require approval from account administrator or it may be concerned person for delivery, and then disapproved. Here items has been disapproved by account administrator or concerned person. And the last one is expected to under deliver. Here item is predicted to under deliver. It may be insufficient inventory or not enough available impressions is the primary reason for under delivery of an item. And then next one, the status of item usually identify. Next is status after delivery being initiated. In this there are 4 categories: delivering, completed, paused, and then delivery extended. In this delivering is nothing but item is serving add impressions, and then completed is nothing but items end date has been reached and the item has been stopped delivering, and then paused is nothing but delivery has been paused. Resume item to continue hard delivery to be resumed. The item must have at least one creative assigned. And then delivery extended. Here item is past its end date and it's delivering as fast as possible to meet its goals within the specified extension window. The forecasting system considers item with this status to be complete so that an cannot begin a forecast on them. And then the last one is status for non-delivery items. Here inventory released as well as archived. In inventory released, item has been paused or it may be cancelled and its inventory is now available for other items to book. In some situations, this status may appear for items that had not been previously reserved. However, in this case, there is an indication that the item is not reserved any inventory. And then last one is archived. Here item is not delivering and has been removed from active list. And then in last topic of this session is life cycles of individual items, or it may be items or components. The life cycle of a product with multi-component design is different from the life cycle of individual components or items, and then each item has its own life cycle because not all items will have produced in the same stage. For example, we'll take if a design related to a particular item moves into production, another item might still be in prototype development stage or still being in the revision stage. Since every component undergoes a series of revisions before it is prototyped and produced, the data related to the every such revision must be uploaded and made available to every user involved in the product development cycle. The revision therefore reflects the progress of the item as it undergoes changes. For any revision of an item, it is also important to reflect the current state of that revision, what stage of its life it has reached, and then this status is referred to as item revision's life cycle. Each point in an item revision life cycle is referred to as a state. For example, in production, when the item revision state changes state, it is referred to as transition, which can only be to another state. And then life cycle definitions based on the advanced management style support states that are being clustered into stages, and stages allow labels to be created that identify where an item revision is in its development. For example, it could be in design, or it be in the prototype, or in production. With this life cycle information, people that need to use an item in a vault, say for example, from a designer contemplating a reuse of a released design building block, to the supply chain needing a data to fabricate and assemble, are able to see at a glance what stage a revision of an item has reached in its life, and therefore what it can be safely used for. That ends the chapter module number 2, and then in this session. Thank you for patience listening. Finally, I will thank you, the LMS coordinator Dr. Pundarika Ji, Principal, Government Engineering College, Ramnagar, and then course moderator Dr. J.P. Girish, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Ramnagar, and then main content developer Dr. Muniraju, myself Dr. Muniraju M, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Chamarajanagar, and then Dr. Banjara Kutresh, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Haveri, and then one more person, Professor Chetan K.S., Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Chamarajanagar. Finally, thank you.